Hello and welcome to the in-depth series of Drishti IAS. I am Pooja Dwivedi. Today we are going to discuss certain conservation schemes that have been envisaged in our budget of the current fiscal 2023-24. So these new schemes will focus, of course, upon different regions, sectors of biodiversity: mangroves, wetlands, fertilizers. The new schemes that we are going to discuss will be with respect to this only. So let us first of all move with the backdrop. New programs have been launched. The backdrop is this, that the finance minister has launched several conservation schemes. First is with respect to mangroves, second is the PM Pranam scheme, and third is with respect to wetlands. Today is also the World Wetland Day. We will discuss that as well. So MISHTI, that means Mangrove Initiative for Shoreline Habitat and Tangible Incomes. MISHTI is a sweet dish, actually sweet in Bengali. And just remember like this: mangrove, West Bengal has the highest population of mangroves. So MISHTI is a Bengali word. You can relate it like this. Okay. This is a new program to facilitate mangrove plantation along two regions, India's coastline and also salt pan lands. So it's not only with respect to coastline where mangroves do exist, but also salt pan lands, which are generally waste in nature. But if mangroves are planted on them, they can be of some use. And this will operate through convergence between MNREGA, Campa Fund and other resources. Campa Fund is a fund which is made up of compensatory financing. If any land which was a carbon sequestering land in terms of forest coverage, if that is used for some other purpose, then it can be compensated through finances, and this fund will go in the Campa Fund. So Campa Fund, MNREGA, everything will be used for plantation of more mangroves. Now it is an intensive afforestation program of coastal mangrove forest, and India has such forests. If we talk about this, then West Bengal has the highest population of mangroves, which is followed by Gujarat and then Andaman and Nicobar. Okay, and mangrove is a small tree or a shrub. It grows along the coastline where tides help it to grow, and they take root in salty sediments, and that is generally underwater. So it is important for us to know the details because this could be asked in your prelims examination. The term mangrove as a term is used to define the habitat as a whole or to the trees and shrubs in the mangrove swamp. Okay, mangroves, these are flowering tree, and these belong to the family of Rhizosphoraceae, Acanthaceae, Lythraceae, Combrosacea, and also Ericiaceae. So remember all this. Okay, moving ahead, the significance of mangroves are immense. First, it balances the ecological stabilization, because of its nature, it stabilizes the salt, the roots of it, and it acts as a reservoir in the tertiary assimilation of waste. So it catches waste as well. When it catches waste, although too much waste is being generated, the capacity might have decreased, but when it catches waste, it helps in maintaining the purity of the soil and the water that is around it. It also protects against cyclones. Specifically, it was noticed that during the cyclone Amphan, the mangroves protected West Bengal. Mangroves and tides, the dense tangle of roots, it allows the trees to handle the daily rise and fall of the tides, and hence it helps to curb erosion, right? It is, the soil are protected, and that is why erosion won't take place. Because of this, coastal stabilization also happens. It reduces erosion from storm surges, currents, waves, and tides. So biodiversity thrives very brilliantly here. It also helps in absorbing the nutrients due to immense human intervention. Lot of nutrients, lot of fertilizers that are washed away from the crop fields, they get tangled into the roots of the mangroves, and that is why water purification can also be there. And then eutrophication will not take place. Eutrophication is a process in which too much nutrients go into the water, and that creates algal bloom, and hence it is a problem for the fish. It's like a death knell for them. Okay, it also stores blue carbon. See, whenever the leaves of mangroves fall to the ground and then they get buried into the ground, they carry a lot of carbon. And once that happens, when they are buried underground, specifically underwater, these are storing blue carbon. Mangroves make up less than 2% of the marine environment, but they account for 10 to 15% of carbon burial. And because of this, they are also helping in carbon sequestration. They are not letting it out in the atmosphere. They support biodiversity. They support an incredible amount of biodiversity, which helps in many things for us. And species that are very unique to mangroves are also there, specifically birds, fish, invertebrates, mammals. Now, the threat to mangroves are immense. Again, because of too much commercialization, we can see nutrients getting absorbed in the roots of the mangroves, and it is creating a problem for them. Aquaculture, coastal development, rice and palm oil farming, which is not native to that region, when that takes place, it is disbalancing the entire ecosystem. UNESCO has said that mangroves are disappearing at 3 to 5 times faster rate than overall losses of the global forest cover. Because of the rising number of shrimp farms and the demand when it comes to dietary capacity, then at least 35% of the overall loss of mangroves is also taking place, because in these regions shrimp farms are being maintained, which is not healthy. Temperature related issues are also there because of the climate change. When the temperature changes immensely, and a fluctuation of even 10 degrees in a short period of time, it can create enough stress for the mangrove. Other than that, there are soil related issues. Oxygen gets lessened when too much waste is trapped in the soil, and that is of course causing death to the species there. There is excessive human intervention. Excessive human intervention is never good, not only for mangroves but any other biodiversity as well. The next one is PM Pranam scheme. That means Prime Minister Program for Restoration, Awareness, Nourishment and Amelioration of Mother Earth. This scheme wants to incentivize states as well as the UTs, Union Territories, to promote not chemical but organic or alternative fertilizer, because government plans to introduce a new scheme in order to reduce the usage of chemical fertilizers. See, the program aims to ultimately bring down the government subsidy burden. As estimated, the subsidy estimates could go like from rupees 2.25 lakh crore in 2020 to 23. 39%. This is higher than the last year's figure of rupees 1.62 lakh crore. Now, another important point of this is the creation of Bharatiya Prakritik Kheti Bio Input Resource Centers. Now, this center wants to help the farmers to adopt organic farming, in which 10,000 bio input resources centers will be created. Thereafter, there will be a creation of national level distributed micro fertilizer and pesticide manufacturing network, so that supply does not get bleak. Other than that, this will impact over 1 crore farmers over the next 3 years. So this is a time-based project. Moving ahead, now if we talk about fertilizers, fertilizer is a natural or artificial, even artificial substance, the chemical ones. This contains chemical elements such as nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium, and they are used to improve the growth and productiveness of plants, specifically in a country like India, which is agriculture sector economy, we can say. Many people depend on it in the agriculture and allied activities. So in order to increase productivity for commercialization as well as for feeding the people of the India and the world, this happens. So we need more productivity. So a lot of chemical fertilizers are used. That has caused immense threat. We will talk about that as well. So urea, DAP, muriate of potash, MOP. These are the 3 basic fertilizers that is used in India, And the government pays a subsidy to fertilizer producer to allow farmers to buy fertilizers at below market rate. Fertilizer subsidy is like when the fertilizer has a market price and the farmers are unable to buy it because of course, the poverty that they are in, and also because of, the government wants to support them. So what happens? The government buys them at market price and then provides the fertilizers to the farmers at a subsidized or a lower price. So what the difference it is there, it is known as subsidy, and it is increasing. So the government does not have that much to support for a longer period of time. Okay. Then multiple risks are increasingly being understood by scientists have, of course, told the entire scenario into 2 words. First of all, we need to reduce the chemical fertilizers. Secondly, we need to ensure organic fertilizers. A major source of water pollution it is, because it leads to eutrophication. When the fertilizer, they get washed into the waters and algal bloom happens, fishes die because they do not have oxygen to breathe, and that causes a problem in the aquatic life. For a longer period of time, it will cause harm to the soil, and it also causes acidification, and thereafter it will cause land degradation as well, soil degradation, and then it will turn into a wasteland. There is a link between the excessive use of chemical fertilizer and cancer in farmers, and also over a long period of time in other people who are consuming those crops. Amrit Dharohar is the third scheme that we are talking about here. It will be implemented over the next 3 years to optimally use wetlands. In such a manner, wetlands will be used that their sustainability is not harmed and maximum output could be reached. It will enhance biodiversity through this carbon stock. That means wetlands will sequester carbon and keep it with them. Ecotourism opportunities and income generation for local communities, so that they can have their shops over there, sustainable in nature, guiding and everything over there. And it will emphasize on the importance of wetlands. The outlook of the scheme is that it will be inclusive of local community and other stakeholders as well. So today is World Wetland Day. 2nd February is the day every year we celebrate annual World Wetlands Day. It is observed to raise awareness about the importance of wetlands for humanity and the planet. On this day only, the Ramsar Convention on Wetland was signed in 1971 in Iran. Okay, and the theme for this year is wetlands and water management. Remember that every year the theme changes. India is one of the contracting parties to Ramsar Convention, and India signed it on 1st of February 1982. So from 1982 to 2013, a total of 26 sites were added to the Ramsar list. It will enhance conservation of this area, these regions which are added. During 2014 to 2022, the country added more 49 new wetlands, and in 2022, according to designation date, a total of 28 sites have been declared. The number is 19 for this year, as in 2022, the last year, not this year, and 14 for previous year, that means 2021. Tamil Nadu has the maximum number of Ramsar sites. These are 14 in number, which is followed by Uttar Pradesh, 10 in number. Okay, so remember if it is asked in the prelims examination. Wetlands are an ecosystem. It has a characteristic of soil that is saturated by water. It could be either permanent in nature or even seasonal in nature, depending upon the supply of water. It supports aquatic plants and wildlife. It will help in water management, climate, weather regulation, also carbon gathering and supporting biodiversity. A lot of migratory birds fly into India to wetlands, and that also supports endangered birds. So it includes the wetlands, includes marshes, swamps and bogs. Okay, so I hope this has been understood, and this is the reason the government wants to conserve a biodiversity in such a manner which is multi-pronged in nature. That's it. Thank you so much for watching.